Twitter and Facebook and all that, and maybe some people pop in.
All right. It says that we are live, back in action for week 1 of the 2021/22 NFL season, and it was very exciting. There were some blowouts, some close games. We weren't going to mention the Thursday night game delivered. I will say that.
For sure.
The Thursday night game delivered. A little bit of drama at the end of the game. Did you think it should have been pass interference or no?
Do I think it should have been? Yes. Do I think it was? Maybe. So this is why I think it should have been. I think as a cornerback, you have to sell those calls, and Diggs definitely sold that call.
Mm-hmm.
I would have called it because off of his reaction, you don't not make that call. Did he do a full extension? I think yes, but for someone to not think so, I would agree with that too. It's yes and no. I personally would have made the call for 2 reasons, though. For the reason that, yes, he definitely sold that, and I think, it was a pass interference.
So there's our Thursday review. But before we get into the rest of the games, I just want to say, first of all, thank you guys for watching. My name is Big Tuna for Bigger and Better Sports, and this is Mike from Mykel Sports. While watching this video, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell next to the channel so you guys get notified when we go live, when we each have new videos coming out and stuff like that. I know Mike's got good content coming out, and same with our channel as well. And I'm going to let Mike take over so you can tell him where you can find him everywhere else. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, guys, if you don't remember me from last football season, or if you're new to Big Tuna's channel, Mykel Sports, you can find me on Instagram at Mykel Sports _YouTube, my Twitter at Mykel Sports, and obviously on YouTube, just Mykel Sports. This is also live on my channel too, so anyone that's watching on my end, thank you so much for being here, and show my guy Big Tuna and Bigger and Better Sports some love as well.
So, did you have a good offseason? That's the big question. Did you have a good offseason?
Did I? So, I am in all Raiders gear celebrating your team because they got the big win yesterday. I'm a Packers fan. No, I did not have a good offseason. As a Packers fan, no. Not at all.
Yeah, no.
The channel definitely did. The channel has grown a little bit since the offseason, but the Packers, very stressful offseason for us.
So we're going to do the Packers and the Raiders in like the middle of the show. So for Raiders fans, Packers fans, just hold on. We'll be there. The thing is that drama came out even worse in week 1.
Yes.
Like, I don't think the Packers season is going to be like that at all.
Right.
But the thing is that for them to have the drama that they did and then to come out and shit a brick like they did in 38-3, if someone told me they were going to lose 38-3, I would have told them they're nuts. I'll take any bet that they're not even going to be close to that.
Right. Yeah, if you would have told me 38-3, I would have literally laughed. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been funny to me if someone were to say that. And it honestly,
it was like I said, it was a tough offseason for the Packers. I hate to say it, but with all the drama and all that stuff, and from what happened, it does not look like Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. But I still think the team is going to make the playoffs. I still think the team is going to be close to the NFC Championship. I still think they're better than most teams out there. I just, the Saints are better than I thought they would be, and it's kind of funny how Jameis Winston is now playing like a number 1 overall pick after many seasons in Tampa Bay, but they're happy anyway. So, but other than that, everything was good in your offseason. Oregon's 2-0. You're good. Everyone's happy.
Oregon's rocking and rolling. I think Green Bay is going to get back up on that horse in week 2. So not a bad offseason, just kind of a stressful one with Rodgers. I think we did good in the draft, so not bad, just a little stressful.
Yeah, no, I understand. So let's get into the games here. The first game that we got is the Eagles traveling to Atlanta and winning 32-6. Probably one of a surprise to me more than anything. I would have to say that, from an Eagles standpoint, I'd be happy. I mean, maybe I didn't think Atlanta was going to be a world beater, but I think that I thought it would be a lot closer.
Yeah.
From Philly's standpoint, Hurts looked good And you know what? Devontae Smith looked good, and so did Jalen Reagor, which is good news for them because they wasted first round. They didn't waste them, but they used first round picks on those guys.
Right.
It looks like it's starting to work out. So
Yeah, for sure. And what was actually kind of crazy is Atlanta actually looked like they were going to make this a game. They scored on their first 2 drives, ending in field goals. But after that, it was just bad. I don't think Matt Ryan particularly played a terrible game. Matt Ryan is not a bad quarterback. It's just the Falcons are way worse than I thought they were going to be. I originally picked the Falcons to win this game at home. Obviously, that didn't happen. I thought Jalen Hurts was going to have a bad game. He surprised me a lot.
He threw the ball very well.
He played really good. I thought he wasn't going to play very good, but he did. And Devontae Smith proving the haters wrong. Like you said, he had a great game. I know a lot of people were saying he's too small to play in the NFL. He's this and that. He absolutely proved everybody wrong. He had an awesome game. I thought this was great for the Eagles. They might win this division. You know what I mean? Falcons. Ooh.
Who knows who's going to win the division? Division.
That's probably one of the biggest question marks I have this season.
I mean, now with Fitzpatrick going down with Washington, I didn't think Fitzpatrick was going to be the best, but just to me, he had a better chance of making that team succeed. But they're a defensive-oriented team. Their offense just needs to score some points, like 20 points, and they'll be good. But to me, my reaction is, Hurts, Devontae Smith, Reagor look good. On the Atlanta side, I don't think Matt Ryan's going to be there much longer after this year. They're very thin at running back. They've got Mike Davis, who I always thought was good, but as a dual threat guy. And their other running back is Cordero Patterson, who I liked him as a Raider, but it's just he's not a full-time running back.
Yeah.
Ridley did his job, and Pitts, I always like to look at the rookies, their first game, high-pick rookies, and he had a couple catches and stuff, nothing huge, but tight end's a tough position to get, everything going, even though he's not really a tight end. He's a wide receiver.
He's a big receiver. He's not really a tight end. I agree.
But overall, very surprised by Philly, but I bet your fans are happy about it because, like you said, I just didn't think Philly would be able to pull this one out, and they kicked shit out of them. So, moving on to another game where I wasn't surprised with the outcome. I was surprised it was a little bit closer than it was. Carolina at home wins against the Jets 19-14. Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson get a little bit of revenge against their old team. Obviously, they connected for only one pass for 57 yards, but still not a bad thing, And it was a touchdown, so that's still good.
Yeah.
Listen, the Jets. Let's talk about the Jets before we talk about Carolina, because Carolina's kind of like you don't really know with Carolina, but with the Jets, running game non-existent again. Zach Wilson did not look terrible.
Right, I agree.
And Corey Davis, probably one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most underrated signings this offseason. Because Corey Davis just got booted out for an old Julio Jones.
Basically,
I don't think that should have happened.
I was very impressed with Zach Wilson. I know that definitely going into the draft and a lot over time, I've really not liked Zach Wilson. I didn't think he was going to be a great pro. I didn't think he was that good of a prospect. He had a really good preseason. He played really good Sunday as well. I think that offensive line definitely needs to help him out.
Even though they lost their best offensive lineman for a while, Becton.
Yeah, well, I mean, not to say Zach Wilson looked rough, but he didn't play that great early, and I think that offensive line definitely had something to do with that, but he did end up playing really, really good, and I agree with Carolina. It is such a question mark because we really don't know. I thought Darnold played well. Good revenge game for him. Definitely was excited to see him play well in that game. Panthers have a really good offense, I believe. And I think that they're going to have a pretty good season. Like you said, though, it's just kind of a toss-up. We just don't really know.
You don't really know with the Panthers, but you know what? Christian McCaffrey's back, and that's a big difference maker for them. And you know what? Some of their first-round picks are starting to work out. I mean, especially on the defensive side. Both Derek Brown and Brian Burns had sacks yesterday.
Right.
Or 2 days ago. And that's that's big when those picks start to work out. I mean, as a Raiders fan, we don't see that very often as a Raiders fan, but I like seeing it with other teams where people are like, that pick's kind of weird, but sometimes it takes a little while for it to work out. But with Carolina, I mean, I don't know what to think about them because I could see them winning a game like this and then going out and getting the crap kicked out of them by somebody. It's just I think that Christian McCaffrey is going to be the reason why they go this far or that far.
Agreed. Well, and the big thing that I have for Carolina is they had pretty solid drives throughout this game. And this is going to be a common theme because I saw this a lot throughout this week is teams need to finish drives and touchdowns. I hate seeing teams have great drives, long drives, and they finish in field goals. This team needs to finish drives in touchdowns. It was a very close game. I think it would have been a much bigger margin of victory for the Panthers if they just finished their drives and touchdowns.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And that's where the knock on Sam Darnold is. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's the knock on Sam Darnold. Quick question before we can move on. If they end up having a winning record, and Sam Darnold's contract, I think, is either up this year or next year, do you think they extend him if he has a somewhat decent year?
Yeah, 100%. I think they extend him. If they have a winning record, that obviously means that they're not going to be in contention for a top 10 pick. They have a winning record. Sam Darnold plays good. Why not extend him a few years? Maybe he doesn't get a huge payday, but he definitely deserves an extension if he has a good year and this team has a winning record.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next game, in the comments there, we got Nate S., who's always here. We appreciate you hanging out with us, Nate S. We love you. Yes, it was a nice win for the Raiders last night. Raider Rich says, so you're back, Santino. It's weird that he's using my first name like I'm in trouble. I'm back. I mean, I've been doing videos here or there. It's been I got a promotion at my new job, and it's been a tough couple of weeks trying to get used to it and stuff like that. But I'm starting to get into it. And then Blake Cap says, what's up and go Saints. Yeah, I mean, I would feel good as a Saints fan.
Blake's one of my personal friends. He was blowing me up after the game. So.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
So, but if you're a Saints fan, you're happy, but we'll get into that.
For sure.
Next game we got is one of your favorites. The LA Chargers travel to Washington to beat the Washington football team 20-16. Listen, Justin Herbert he's ready to go. I mean, I hate to say it because I'm a Raiders fan and we got to see him twice a year, but this kid is so fucking crazy good.
Yeah,
and, for him to against this defense, that will just swarm you.
Right.
And he still throws for 337 and a touchdown interception. And the game kind of went sour because Fitzpatrick got hurt, but Hajnowski came in and played okay. And I honestly think if Hajnowski continues to play the way that he is, that Fitzpatrick's not going to get his job back like he does in every team. He loses it without even doing anything wrong.
Yeah,
that's just his MO. But I'll let you talk about Herbert. Go ahead.
Herbert absolutely has not lost a step before this game. Before this season, obviously, I was picking Herbert to win MVP. I mean, he's at least top 3 to win MVP this year in my eyes. Keenan Allen, he looked really, really good in this game. Obviously, Herbert, Allen, I think Guyton is the other wide receiver, and obviously Mike Williams too. Those guys all.
Mike Williams and Keenan Allen look like a nice little deadly duo.
Oh yeah, they look
have been for a while.
They look awesome. You're right. Heineke did come in for Fitzmagic, who, it is tough because he is obviously a fan favorite for a lot of people, but he looks pretty good too. I think that, Fitzpatrick could potentially lose his job this season. I think if Washington has a pretty bad season, they might be looking to draft a quarterback early in this year's draft. Washington's defense, they looked fine to a certain extent. Didn't look great. I mean, they gave up 20 points, which isn't a lot, but it's also it's not a great defensive performance, but it's not a lot. So they definitely looked good, but they need to play better. But yeah, I mean, Herbert on that last drive, whenever they iced the game, a couple of third down conversions, man, he looked really good.
Yeah.
That's a bad look for the rest of the division. I mean, obviously you have the Chiefs who are really good. You have the Broncos who might be up and coming. The Raiders got a big game last night. But don't forget about the Chargers, man. I think this team could could win the division if the Chiefs stumble a few games and the Chargers get on a good streak.
I'm excited to see Chiefs and Chargers
for sure
when that game comes out. I'm excited to see it. Nate S. brought up something funny about that game. He says the fact that a sewer line broke in FedEx Field and poured sewage on some of the fans is a perfect reflection on what the team does to its fans year after year. Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that, but that's fucking hilarious. That's pretty good. What is it? I think it's Leonard. Sally says, I think Justin Herbert is going to be a problem for the AFC West. He's going to be a problem for a while for the AFC West.
Yeah, for honestly everybody. I mean, this guy is really good and he's really talented. I obviously, as a Duck fan, I'm so happy to see Justin Herbert absolutely balling out.
Well, it's in Blake there. Blake says thoughts on Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence. We haven't got there yet, so you're not too late.
We will get there soon.
Listen, the Chargers, their offense is deadly. It's deadly. They don't really have the greatest running game, but they don't really need it.
Right.
Their defense is sustainable. It's there, and, if it needs to come up big, I bet you it could with Derwin James and Bosa, who got a sack. The Chargers are going to be right up there with the Chiefs, maybe a couple games behind.
Yeah.
And for the Washington football team, listen, they lost this game, but, this is not a division that's lost in the first. This is a division that's going to come down to the wire.
Agreed.
So it's and I kind of look at they're not as this is a stupid comparison, but it's the only one I can think of right now. But they are like the Baltimore Ravens of early, where they were so good on defense and their offense was so bad.
Right.
But they got it done later in the years. But it's just something where I just think that Washington is going to steal some games because of their defense.
Right.
And I think that's going to happen a lot when it comes to the NFC East games. Those are going to be the big games.
Yeah.
And the way the Giants played, I just don't. I think that it's going to be between the top three: Eagles, Cowboys, and Redskins.
Yeah.
No, sorry, football team. But
I got the Cowboys. I got the Cowboys winning that division.
I mean, that's who I'm thinking too. But I'm pulling for Washington just because. I mean, I don't know. It's just I just feel like they.
Yeah.
They just.
I just don't think they have the same
quarterback away on offense, but I think it's more than that. But the running back played well. Gibson. They're a little the main receiver didn't play great, but I just think they got and they lose Curtis Samuel quick already.
Right.
But they've got a really good tight end that nobody talks about, Logan Thomas. He's a great tight end.
Oh yeah.
Converted tight end from quarterback. So
he's a really good tight end. I'm a big fan of him.
Let's move on to a game that looks close, but it wasn't. 49ers beat the Lions 41-33. At one point, it was 38-10. The Lions ended up coming back in the end. Looking at the statistics, I mean, it looked like Jared Goff had a phenomenal game, and he kind of did, but it was kind of during dead time.
Yeah.
One big thing I wanted to bring up was I don't know if you saw the Okuda thing where he was getting yelled at.
I did. I saw pictures. I didn't end up getting to see a clip of it, but I did see it was like one of those memes where it's like what they cover and what you don't see. So it was him yelling at him, and then it was the coach obviously comforting him, telling him, "Hey, you did a good job."
Yeah, and the funny thing is,
I saw the picture. I didn't see a video though.
2 series later, he blew out his leg. He's done for the year. I mean, that's the shitty part is that he's done for the year now. But I mean, San Francisco. Just like Bradder and me were texting on Sunday, they're healthy. I mean, they lost Mostert, which sucks, but his backup did pretty good. But, I mean, they're ready to go. And for Garoppolo to play the way he is, it makes me think he's got a fire under his ass because obviously he's going to get replaced, if not this year, next year. Deebo Samuel had a great game. The defense played well until they kind of let the other team come back, but that happens in football. You just get bored, and then they let the other team come back. George Kittle had a good game. I think that San Francisco, after a tough year last year, is going to turn it around a lot this upcoming year. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. Jimmy G, like you said, he was wheeling and dealing out there. He had a great game. And I mean, honestly, Trey Lance, he came in for that one play. He did throw a touchdown. I thought that was nice. As far as the Lions go, their offense looked really good at times and really, really bad at others, even before the fourth quarter. Obviously, that fourth quarter, they did run the ball very good, and Goff had a great fourth quarter as well to make it, obviously, a closer game than it actually was. Both teams did have a rough start. Both of their opening 2 drives did not go well, but I think the 49ers are going to be dangerous this year. Like you said, that AFC West better watch out. I think that is a very competitive conference, as they also went 4-0 this in week 1. We're going to have to see, though. I think that they're good. This is a dangerous team. They could even make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're one of those ones that if they can stay healthy, they have a chance to be up there with New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Green Bay,
right?
Just because they've got a quarterback that has done it before. I mean, he's made the Super Bowl before, right?
Yeah,
he was on San Francisco, right? When did they make?
Whenever they, he overthrew Emmanuel Sanders whenever they lost to the Chiefs.
Oh, okay, yes. And then you got guys like Deebo Samuel. You know, Ayuk didn't even. I don't think he played, but he's a top receiver for them. They've got Mitchell now. They've got Kittle. They've got a decent offensive line. Defense played good until that fourth quarter, but you know, it's scary to say, but San Francisco could go from being at the top to the bottom, back to the top again, just in 3 seasons, which is just weird. But I knew Shanahan would turn it around. I knew he had to just, figure out what was going on.
Shanahan. I mean, even though
you might be too young to remember this, but when Drew Brees was on the Chargers and they drafted Phillip Rivers number 4 or number 5, he had a Pro Bowl year. It does matter when you have someone behind you like that. Yeah, it does.
I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. I mean, last year they drafted Jordan Love, his replacement. He won MVP, and we went to the NFC Championship. So, 100%.
So, San Francisco looking good. Next game, a little bit of a disappointment from this team. The Bills lose at home against the Steelers. I mean, from stats-wise, I watched mostly all that game while I was at work, and the Steelers were not doing great, but neither were the Bills. And the Bills, to me, I don't understand the Zach Moss healthy scratch because their starter, Singletary, goes out and fumbles the ball twice.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that, but I don't know what's going on there. Obviously, Diggs did a good job. Emmanuel Sanders made a few catches. Cole Beasley had his normal day. But it's just like Pittsburgh, just to come in and just do what they do. They always are tough against those up-and-coming teams.
Right.
And, I bet you a lot of people thought that Pittsburgh was going to get killed in this game. I didn't because I know the way the Steelers are. But, I think it was more of what's wrong with Buffalo than, hey, the Steelers actually played good. And I think a lot of people were like, oh, what's wrong with Buffalo? Like, well, maybe the Steelers just played good.
Yeah. Well, I, for one, definitely was surprised by this. I was one of those people that did think that the Steelers were going to get blown out this game. They were going to have a rough year. But they showed me up. They showed that they are a for-real football team. This team is definitely going to be back in the playoffs. If not as the NFC North the AFC North champions, they will at least be there as a wild card team. Great defense for both teams in that first half. Chase Claypool had a great game for the Steelers. What a fourth quarter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, just insane fourth quarter for that team.
Claypool is good. Juju got some catches in there. He is just not the same player anymore. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I drafted him in fantasy thinking he was going to have a rebound year, and he might, but it just seems like he was just so good when Antonio Brown was there.
Yeah, he was better when Antonio Brown was getting all the defense, if that makes sense.
No, you're right. But then again, Claypool might turn into, or Deontay Johnson there might turn into that guy. You never know. I mean, it took a while for Antonio Brown to get good.
I think Juju's a good receiver. I think he's a good number 2 receiver. Juju is just not a number 1 guy. And I think that's fine at the end of the day. I mean, you look at Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson was a great number 2 receiver to Devontae Adams. I mean, come on.
So they've got Miami next week. Miami, they're already a 4-point favorite for the Bills. The Bills have Miami next week in Miami. They're a 4-point favorite already. I don't. We'll see.
I got the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, they should win that game. It's just like Buffalo to do that to their fans, to come out and do a stinker in their first game of the season where everyone's picking them to go pretty fucking far, you know. So before we move on, we got a couple more people in here that are new. We got Playboy says go Hawks. Raiders, I think he's talking about the Chargers. I think he says he's not a believer yet. Raiders 7528.
I think he was talking about Justin Herbert. I think
which is okay. I hope he's not that good.
I do. I hope that he is that good.
Playboy says Seahawks are going to win the division. Nate S says the Steelers cheated. They slept with the officials before the game.
Wow.
White side of Hassan from 3 says, Big Tuna, you're my favorite YouTuber. And he says, favorite Raider YouTuber, and I really appreciate that, brother. Much love for that. Make Mykel Sports your favorite Packer YouTuber. Next game we got.
Don't let the outfit deceive you. I'm here to celebrate Big Tuna and the Raiders on the win. I'm a Packers fan through and through.
Next game we got, and then we're going to get to the Packers and the Raiders, is the Seahawks going to Indianapolis, and Russell Wilson throws for 4 touchdowns. Listen, Seahawks came into Indy and kicked their ass. I mean, that's all it is.
I, for one, made a mistake. I picked against the Seahawks in the beginning of the season, which is crazy because no matter how bad the Seahawks in the end of their season, last season, towards the end, they weren't great. Russell Wilson definitely fell off the planet at the end of the season. I didn't think that the Seahawks were going to have a good game, and I really didn't think that they were going to have a great year. I'm still kind of skeptical on that. Tyler Lockett and Russell Wilson were absolutely cooking.
Tyler Lockett had some nice catches.
Oh, yeah. Did you see the one where he was like, that was
insane.
Oh,
yeah. That was awesome.
That was absolutely crazy. Winston, the Colts offense actually really did look good. They just, I mean, come on. You have to finish drives in touchdowns. I mean, it just is what it is. I thought Chris Carson ran really solid for the Seahawks this game. Looked pretty good.
Rashad Penny got hurt again. He's hurt again.
Oh, he is? That's
it sucks.
I think the Hawks look solid. I don't know if they're going to win that division. That is a really good division. It's Rams and 49ers in my mind to win the division. The other team's going to get
really? Well, you got the Rams in there?
Yeah.
Really? I know.
Rams are good, man, especially with Matthew Stafford at the helm. Woo! I'd be on the lookout for that team.
I just think that, honestly and truly, that Matthew Stafford is going to be the downfall of them because he's a gunslinger. And gunslingers are great, but then they piss you off. Brett Favre could be one big one that you know. I mean, the Seahawks are the Seahawks. They're going to be competitive every year. Russell Wilson came out after not a great year last year, but he came out good at the start this year. Tyler Lockett, a guy that not many people talk about, had another good thing. But once again, you know, for the Seahawks, the offensive line still had Russell Wilson running all over the place a little bit. And it just
they definitely have some problems up there.
Ever keep him covered or guard, you know. DK Metcalf got a touchdown. We all love DK. He's a fun guy to watch. On the Indy side, I think it's a process thing here, guys. It really is because I really think Carson Wentz and Frank Reich have a good relationship together, and I think that the offense is going to turn around. It's just that Seahawks came out flying.
Yeah. And they look really good.
Yeah.
I don't think that the Colts looked bad. That's my thing is I really don't think the Colts look bad. The Seahawks just looked really, really good.
I think the Colts will be in that division with Tennessee and Houston and Jacksonville. I think that the Colts still are good. It's going to be between Tennessee and them. You know, I just think Tennessee, after the game they had this past, I don't think they're as good as people think. But
I agree 100%.
That's always been me.
I can't wait to talk about that game either.
Playboys does have a question about this game, and he says, thoughts on Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett, to me, is a good tight end that didn't get enough shots on the last team he was on. If I can remember, I think he got drafted, in the second round by the Rams. Yeah, okay. So the Rams barely used him. I mean, it was like they never used him. But Russell Wilson loves him some tight ends, and he loves them especially in the red zone. So Jimmy Graham was successful there. Zach Miller was successful there. I'm trying to think of a couple others, but Greg Olsen did an okay job. But, Gerald Everett, he might get himself a nice little rebound here in his career after, doing nothing wrong in L.A., but just didn't work out. But overall, I just think this game came out the way it should have, in my opinion. I mean, it just – new quarterback in Indianapolis. It's going to take a couple games, but – it's going to come around. I can guarantee you that because it did for them, that connection in Philly after a couple of years. So it might not happen this year. They're still going to be competitive, but in a couple of years, they might be really good with that quarterback sitting there, and T.Y. Hilton didn't play, and stuff like that. So it's they didn't have their full squad. Jonathan Taylor tried. I mean, he seems like he's going to be but the thing is, you can't have your top two receivers be your running backs. That's tough. Right. You got to get more production. I say that, and 2 touchdowns were caught by a wide receiver, but, Nick Hines and, Jonathan Taylor both had 6 catches each. That's just not good.
That's just a tough look for that team.
All right, let's get to the Packers. Let's talk. Packers lose 38-3. I'm absolutely dead struck by that. I don't have words for it. Justice Dinowitz says maybe it was already asked, but as a Packers fan, do you feel Rodgers is still invested to play for Green Bay? I think that's a stupid question. I think he is.
Yeah. Is invested?
I think he is. Yes.
For this year or
for
just
this year? For this year.
For this year, for sure. This was definitely, I don't want to say interesting.
It's a surprise.
But it was definitely a surprise and honestly like a shock too. Like I really, throughout watching this game, it didn't even feel real to me. It kind of surprised me. Like I was really shook that this team got beat like this. It was almost laughable. I mean, it was laughable, to be honest. Really slow start for the Packers. And they had one good drive that ended in a Mason Crosby field goal that took us into halftime. But as soon as we came back out, we had a great long drive that Aaron Rodgers took us to the red zone. He threw a pick. He said in his interview with Pat McAfee that ended the game. I agree 100%. Aaron Rodgers looked terrible passer rating, threw for 149s, I think, for 149 yards, I think.
133.
Yeah. Terrible game for Aaron Rodgers. But you know what really makes me mad? The terrible game doesn't make me mad. He had a bad game against the Buccaneers last year in the regular season.
I remember that game.
I've seen Aaron Rodgers play bad before. If you watch that game, you watch Aaron Rodgers on the sideline, his body language was absolutely piss poor. I mean, it was the worst body language I've ever seen out of any athlete ever. Regularly, that would make me pretty mad. But after the offseason, you have this bitchy attitude towards the franchise, which I understand to a certain degree. You don't want to play with them to a certain degree. You're mad about Jordan Love. I get all these things to a certain degree. And then you say, you know what, I'm going to come back. I'm going to play for 1 year. I'm fully invested. And then you act like that. I was not mad at Aaron Rodgers at all over the entire offseason. The other day, I hated him. I was so mad at Aaron Rodgers the other day. So mad at him. Oh my gosh, made my blood boil.
I don't blame you. And then he wants you to bring back Randall Cobb, makes him use draft capital, bring back Randall Cobb, and he only throws to him one time. Listen, it's one.
He didn't throw to Randall Cobb. That one reception.
That was from Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
Oh shit. Okay, my bad. I didn't even see. I turned it off after when it was whatever.
See, I wanted to turn it off, but I vowed never to turn off a Packer game.
I like that.
As long as because if this is Rodgers last year, I mean, I have to good or bad, you have to soak it all in.
But the thing that stood out to me is, A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones, and Khalil Hill, 14 carries between the three of them. They need to run the ball effectively for Aaron Rodgers to be successful. And that is just –
I agree.
That is just not good. I mean, Devontae Adams got his yards, He didn't play well, but he got his catches.
Right. Well, we really didn't even have the ball for very long. I mean, we had absolutely no time of possession in this game.
Yeah, no, it was bad. But let's go to the other side. I mean, the Saints played out of this world.
Agreed.
Jameis Winston, 14 for 20, 148 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, he looked great. Not to say I've always liked Jameis Winston. He was in that same draft class with Mariota. So I've always felt like those two were going to be connected for a very long time.
Yeah.
Rough stints for the teams that drafted them. This just goes to show a 1 year on the bench and good coaching can really make you a really good quarterback. I think
exactly.
The talent has always been there with Jameis Winston, and I think that a lot of rookie quarterbacks, they come out and they struggle because you start them way too early. You don't give them any time on the bench. Jameis Winston has 1 year on the bench.
Jameis Winston had Raheem Morris and Greg Schiano as his coaches, and only 1 year with Bruce Arians. That's not enough time. And Greg Schiano was a joke of a hire. Raheem Morris was on the, he was going to get fired because they had just come off a number 1 pick season.
Right.
Listen, like you said, with good coaching, this guy could turn his career around. And it's so funny because I really thought that he might struggle. But once again, another reason to have someone on your ass because Taysom Hill could take reps from him, and he knows that, and he's playing smart. And that's what happens. Competition creates sometimes really, really good things for some players. And It looks like it's working out for Jameis because, like I said, for them to come out and do what they did, totally out of nowhere for me. I did not see – I saw the Packers winning this game 35-21. Because I just had question marks about that offense. And, it's funny because – the offense, honestly, the numbers, besides the 5 touchdowns, the numbers don't look that great. I mean, Kamara got the ball for 83 yards rushing and 8 yards receiving. Tony Jones, who's an undrafted free agent, had 50 yards rushing. Deontay Harris had 72 yards. Nothing crazy. It's really nothing crazy. It's just – the one thing that made me laugh was Chris Hogan caught a touchdown. I didn't know Chris Hogan was on the freaking Saints.
Yeah, I didn't do that. It was kind of bittersweet to see Jawan Johnson get 2 touchdowns. He was a part of that Oregon Ducks team that won the Rose Bowl with Justin Herbert. So at the beginning of the game, I was like, good but bad. Towards the end of the game, when we were already getting blown out and he got that second touchdown, I was like, you know what, good for Jawan Johnson.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Sometimes you gotta just realize you're watching football and just root for guys sometimes that you liked in college, like I do with DeAndre Swift, Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, and I've played against those teams with the Raiders. Yeah. Leonard Saley says, I think Rodgers, he will definitely have a better game next week for sure. It's not the first time this happens with him. He just focus and just playing football. Yeah,
he does. I agree 100% because of 2 reasons. A, we're playing the Lions. And we're playing the Lions without their best cornerback, Jeff Okudah. So, yeah, I agree.
But you know what, dude? It's crazy to think, though, because they really look good. Even the offense looked a little bit better like we were talking about. So that might be an offensive game. That might be a lot of fun to watch Monday night. And segueing into another Monday night game, the Raiders win 33-27 in overtime and probably – one of the craziest games I've ever watched emotion-wise as a Raiders fan. I don't know if you went. You probably went to bed because you had to go to work early.
You know what's crazy is I actually stayed up for the whole game.
Did you? We can talk about we can talk about the regular, but let's talk about just the overtime.
So, okay, that's what I was about to say. Is I stayed up the whole game. The moment that the field goal went through, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so tired." Then the Raiders won the toss, and I said, okay, I'm going to lay down. I did not watch any of the overtime. I watched the entire game except for the overtime.
Did you watch any highlights of it?
Yeah, I watched the highlights of the overtime, and I obviously heard about it over social media. It was crazy. They get the field goal. They get the ball. Right.
And Brian Edwards, who a lot of Raiders fans will tell you he's been getting talked about all offseason about how much he's going to end up better than Henry Ruggs in career-wise. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
But Henry Ruggs played okay.
Yeah, he played all right.
You know how hard I am against him. But for them to get down to the 1 yard line and for them to celebrate the way they did, I thought that was just so stupid from not only the Raiders standpoint, but also Baltimore. And like, guys, we understand they called it a touchdown, but it was that close. And it was like they were all ready to go into the locker room.
Yeah.
And
that was,
I knew it. I said it to my wife. I said, he's short. I was happy for a second, but then I watched the replay. I said, oh my God, he's short. You know, but so that happens.
When the replay, he definitely did look short. Like,
absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely. When they slowed it down, he was definitely down. But so the first play, I knew what they were going to do. They were going to fucking run Derek Carr, and our offensive line is garbage right now. And I knew they weren't going to get the push. If Richie Incognito was in there, they might have gotten the push if he stood behind him. But our offensive line is a work in progress. And, of course, the second play, our first-round pick jumps on the flipping goal line. Like, that's the one thing you don't do. Do not jump on the goal line. And that's exactly what he did. Hopefully he redeems himself, but I still think it was a not great pick at 17. Yeah. But then Willie Snead barely gets any playing time. And the one play he's in there, he misses that pass, goes through his hands, hits the guy in the head, ends up being an interception. And for the first time ever, the defense actually helped. The Raiders' defense actually held for once, got a turnover, and then I don't know what Baltimore was doing on defense there while they let that guy go wide open. That was my biggest thing. It's great that the Raiders won, but what was Baltimore doing? And for me, Lamar Jackson he's a great player, he's versatile, but he is always carrying that football loose. Yeah. And I'm not surprised that he got stripped twice because all he does is hold it out here. He doesn't.
You see that with a lot of quarterbacks when they run the ball. Obviously, your running backs, they're keeping it high and tight. But when quarterbacks run the ball, because a lot of them mentally are thinking, throw. You're running, but you also might be able to throw. And even on design runs, when they know they're not going to throw, there's somewhere in their mind that says, hey, be ready to throw. You know what I mean?
You know what, bro? I mean, I hate to say this because I played quarterback in high school. And when I was learning to play quarterback, when they told me when it was a possibility of a sack, even if you can get out of it, have that ball tight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I understand he's versatile, and that one play where he rolled out and made that touchdown throw was amazing.
That was insane. But
at the end of the day, you look at the stat line, I can't believe that Derek Carr threw for 435 yards. I didn't even think he threw that much.
He had the most passing yards of anybody this entire week one.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. This is one time only that the Raiders are going to have a leader at anything, and that's him with the yards.
Yeah.
But a couple things before we let this game go. Number one, the injuries are going to be a big difference with Ngakoue, McCoy, Mariota, as well as Denzel Good that we know is out for the rest of the season. McCoy, Ngakoue, and Mariota, we don't know, but it looks like it's going to be significant time. And that's huge because the one thing the Raiders haven't had in a couple of years is a pass rush. And with Yannick Ngakoue and Crosby, they look deadly together. And now with him being gone, you got to start looking for other people, and that's where Cleveland Furrow comes in because he was a healthy scratch, which I love because I knew he was a bad pick from the beginning.
Yeah.
But listen, it's good for the Raiders to be 1-0. We've got the Steelers next week. It's going to be probably an even closer game with that one because the Steelers really don't have as much firepower. They have a little bit more firepower on offense, in my opinion. But if the Raiders can feed off of it, and I said it in my recap video, sky's the limit because Derek Carr knows what to do. But if we can get Bryan Edwards and finally have that number one receiver and Hunter Renfrow do what he does and catch those slot passes, because our number one receiver is Darren Waller.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. As far as number one receiver goes, you don't really need anything more than Darren Waller. Obviously, the the Ravens, we're definitely trying to key in on putting more pressure on Darren Waller, but that guy's an absolute beast. I mean, this guy has gone from honestly unheard of until last season. And this guy, I mean, he's easily the third best tight end in football. I'm really excited to see Darren Waller and how he does this season.
You think he's third?
Third?
Oh, you.
Who would be over him other than Kittle and Kelsey? Kittle, Kelsey, and Waller. Who else?
I think he's better than Kelsey or better than Kittle.
I think he might be that, but I mean, those guys are my top three. It's hard to rank them. I don't know. But he's at least top three. I wouldn't put over him. I mean, a lot of people have Hawkinson as one of the better tight ends. I wouldn't put him over him. Who was the AFC tight ends, the Pro Bowl selection tight ends last year? It was Kelsey and it was someone else. It wasn't Darren Waller. And
I forgot who it was.
It made me really mad because I was like, where's Darren Waller? And I know in the NFC it was I remember who it was, but it was someone in TJ Hawkinson. And I was like, where's Robert Tonyan? Because I thought Robert Tonyan is better than TJ Hawkinson. But that's
Noah, was it Noah Fant? No.
It might have been. I don't think so though. I don't know. I'd have to fact check that later.
Yeah, I don't know. But overall, you can't be upset. You're 1-0. We lost some key players. Yeah, I mean, we got a couple comments before we move on to the next game. Watching Carr zero in on Waller for the whole first half was painful. Yeah, it was crazy how much he was throwing it to him. But Gruden said he would target Waller 29 times out of 60, so was it just the play calling? Derek Carr is not an arguer. Right. Whatever John Gruden tells him to do, he's going to do it. And John Gruden probably told him, throw it to 83 if you need to every goddamn play.
Agreed.
You know, because he's our best. But now that guys like Edwards and even Henry Ruggs made a couple good catches, so did Hunter Renfrow. They've actually got some talent on that offense, and it's not just one player. The only thing that upsets me on that offense is that Jacobs is looking more and more like Darren McFadden when it comes to injuries. It seems like he's hurt every week.
Yeah.
And thank God we have Kenyon Drake because he's so good out of the backfield in the passing game. And if you're a Raiders fan, you know Derek Carr loves to check it down. He didn't really do it that much in this game, but still, you know. And then Leonard Sally says, I think Carr just targeted Waller too much in the first half, but good the Edwards and Ruggs and Renfrow made key plays, which is huge because all those guys were what? Draft picks. Our drafts have been so bad lately, and just it's good to see it. Sucks that Good is out for the season. I'm kind of nervous about the O-line. So am I. I mean, but that's just – there's guys out there that can do it. We just got to find them. All right, next.
Mariota, the 39-yard rush. I was so excited about it.
And Mariota, the other thing about that is that Gruden said it in the press conference. He had plans for Mariota to do more, but he got hurt. So that's good that they're actually thinking about doing that because Mariota can help that offense. It's just,
I mean, it's contributing just a little bit, you know, running the ball a little bit.
He just can't stay healthy at it. All right, the other overtime game that we got is the Cincinnati Bengals at home beat the Minnesota Vikings in overtime 27-24. Joe Burrow is back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited for him. As much as I hate that he's in the AFC, him, Jamar Chase looked good. Joe Mixon looked good. Cincinnati, in my opinion, is on the upswing. Big time. Sure.
Yeah, I think definitely in the future we could see this Cincinnati Bengals team being really, really good. I definitely think that they're going to be better than last year. The one thing, and honestly for both of these teams, not just for the Bengals, I know they're the team that got the win, but both of these O-lines are scaring me. There was a lot of pressure on both of these quarterbacks in this game, and it was just really scary. Obviously, Kirk Cousins might be on the hot seat after this season.
Burrow got sacked 5 times. Cousins got sacked 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the Vikings team did not look bad until late in the third and all of the fourth quarter.
But it really means something.
Yeah, I mean, it just was not great for them late in this game.
But you got to be excited for Cincinnati. I mean, Jamar Chase, you take him at number 5. He doesn't play the year before. Comes out, has 5 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. Right. Joe Mixon is taking in that starter role great without Giovanni Bernard there. 29 carries for 127 yards. The overtime, it's a little bit different. But, you know,
So I read this note wrong. The Vikings actually played very well the third and fourth quarter. They just couldn't finish it out in overtime.
They couldn't finish it out, no. And to me, Kirk Cousins is one of those guys, he's never going to get any credit because he just isn't. And because he makes mistakes when everybody's watching, especially on Monday Night Football. He's got great receivers like Adam Thielen.
And Thielen had a great game.
Thielen had a great game, which was surprising. They had the wide receiver KJ Osborne there. He had 7 catches. He was a 5th-round pick out of Miami this year. He had 7 catches for 76 yards. So right there, you've got him. And, you've got Justin Jefferson as well. So that receiving core should be good. Dalvin Cook had a touchdown, but not much else.
Yeah.
And to me, it just came down to, Burrow did a little bit more than what Kirk Cousins did.
Agreed. And Joe Burrow looked really good.
I'm excited for that game where the Raiders play Cincinnati. I'm excited to watch that game.
I've never thought that Joe Burrow was a great prospect. I didn't predict him to be really good in the NFL. I still don't know if he's going to be that good, but he did play really well yesterday. That made me
You don't think Burrow will be there? See, I really like Burrow. I
don't know. It's kind of funny because he was the number 1 overall pick to the Bengals. He wears number 9. He gives me Carson Palmer vibes. He's going to be good. The injuries are already there.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, let's move on to your number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence. And let's be honest, he did not look great. He did not look great against a team that isn't that good on defense. Let's be honest. I mean, he did throw 3 touchdowns. He also threw 3 interceptions. He also ran the ball. Well, no, he didn't run. He got sacked only once, which is good for a rookie quarterback. But,
right.
He threw for 333 yards. He threw the ball 51 times, but he was playing from behind the whole game.
Yeah.
Just some of those throws, man. It was and some of them they got intercepted. But
I agree 100%. I think Trevor Lawrence was definitely – we saw the good that Trevor Lawrence has to offer. We saw the great prospect that he was coming out of Clemson, the great player that he was at Clemson. But we definitely saw a bunch of rookie mistakes. It's not that his interceptions were bad. His interceptions were horrid. He made terrible decisions. I mean, those were ugly throws.
The one where he rolled out and just threw it right over that guy's head. It was like, oh, boy.
You watch that game, you see some of his throws, and you go, wow, this guy is next big thing. Of course, he was the number 1 overall pick. And you look at some of those throws, and you think, Jesus Christ, this guy is not very good. I thought Tyrod Taylor had an awesome game. I was very happy.
Hands off to Tyrod Taylor. He has had the worst luck ever in the NFL, and something's going to happen to him once again. And know what it's going to be? Deshaun Watson's going to decide he wants to play.
Yeah.
And he's going to lose his starting job. But I want to go back to one thing about Trevor Lawrence, too, is homeboy needs to put on some weight. He is super thin.
Super skinny.
Yeah, I know that he's bigger, but it's like, dude, you're like 6'4", 190 pounds.
Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's almost the same height as Trevor Lawrence, but he's a little thicker. A lot of people think Zach Wilson is short because he's a little bigger, but he's actually almost as tall as Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is really thin.
Yeah, it's crazy how thin he is. And I don't know how many weeks you give it till he cuts his hair.
Like Herbert did?
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna do it. I don't think he's gonna get much of a cut. He might get something like what I have. He might get something up at the neck, maybe not as far down, maybe to the shoulders.
I think Herbert cut his hair because he knew he was playing well and he was gonna get a lot of interviews and stuff, and he didn't want to look too shaggy.
Yeah.
I don't think Lawrence that's gonna happen to him.
Well, he grew it back out, man. He looks nice. I'm big on the long hair of Herbert. I'm big on it. I didn't like the buzz cut. I wasn't feeling that last year. But
on the Texans side, Tyrod Taylor played great. Mark Ingram had 26 carries. I did not see that coming.
Oh, me neither. I thought he was going to be kind of a second back, not a lot of carry. I mean, him and Phillip Lindsay both had pretty decent games. I mean, this was a really, really big win for Houston. I mean, this is a team that a lot of people were saying, we're going to have the first 0-17 team season, and it's going to be the Texans. And they're 1-0 right now. They've got a better record than half the teams in the league.
It's crazy to me that Mark Ingram is the one that gets all the carries. Because I don't know if you play fantasy, but like he wasn't even projected to be third string.
I play it. I don't take fantasy football seriously. If people invite me in their league, I kind of play just for, shits and giggles. I mean, I draft my favorite players. I draft all Packers players and then Mariota and Herbert. That's how I play fantasy football. So
one thing I want to say too is that David Johnson got himself a touchdown, a little bit of, and Danny Amendola got a touchdown for Houston.
I know, it's crazy. We're finding all these receivers that used to be Patriots are now on different teams, and we're just like, what?
Brandon Cooks had 5 catches for 132 yards. Good game.
Mad underrated. I'm a big fan of Brandon Cooks.
You know what the thing is with Brandon Cooks, and I just think that he's a one-trick pony. But Tyrod Taylor is just that kind of guy where he's going to focus in on him and make him more than that. Tyrod Taylor is a good quarterback, in my opinion. I don't care what anyone says. He is a good quarterback, in my opinion.
I agree.
All right, next game. I know you want to talk about this. Arizona kills the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, yeah.
Chandler Jones gets 5 sacks, and Kyler Murray has 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, this was honestly a weird game. I picked the Titans to win this game. I thought them being at home was going to be good for them. I didn't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals or Kyler Murray going into this game. Kyler Murray is an absolute wizard. I mean, I know you had to have seen that play where Kyler Murray was going here, and then he was going here, and then he was going here, and then he was stopping, and then he was here, and then that was crazy. I thought that was awesome.
To me, Kyler Murray, I'm not a believer in him, but if he starts playing like this every game, you're going to have to be a believer.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are either all in on Kyler Murray or they're not big on him at all. I've heard a lot of both of those. I haven't heard a lot of people that are on the fence about him, and I think that's where I fall in. I'm really on the fence with Kyler Murray. I think he's good, but do I think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback? I think that we're going to find out here soon. All I know is that DeAndre Hopkins is an absolute beast at wide receiver. He definitely proved that he's definitely one of the best in the game. Byard is really the only bright spot that you could see for the Titans. Everybody on that team just kind of looks sluggish. The offensive line obviously wasn't great. Chandler Jones was all over Ryan Tannehill all game. And those weapons, they were really just an afterthought for the Titans. Their weapons really just didn't get an opportunity.
And I'll tell you what, Julio Jones pissed off his coach big time.
Yeah, I heard about that. I don't even know what to think about that, man.
That's something where, I could see Julio Jones being sour to the rest of the season because of shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever said anything to him like that. But Mike Vrabel is – and it's funny, Tom Brady had a documentary where he talked about Mike Vrabel, and he's like, he's an asshole. He's a horrible human being. But we were teammates, and Mike Vrabel is a tough son of a bitch. Yeah, he was really hard to play for, I guess. They kind of compared it to a little bit like he's like to play for John Gruden, but he's successful. Right. And it's like, okay. But, the Titans have to go back to the drawing board. That's all I can say. Henry got his carries, didn't do anything with them. A.J. Brown caught a touchdown, but, Julio Jones had a couple catches. They got to go back to the drawing board. But I was always on the fence with Tennessee because they go by – what number 22 does, or 22. Yeah, 22 does. And if he doesn't succeed in a game, they don't succeed.
Agreed. And that's the worst part about having.
And the best thing, and my thing here with the Cardinals is, okay, so they threw it 32 times, but they also ran it 34 times.
Yeah,
they spread it out with Edmonds and Connor. They had a great game plan for that game, and Chandler Jones just. There was all that shit about his contract and stuff. Well, he made it known that he's ready to go.
He dominated.
Next game we got here was a competitive game. 2 young quarterbacks. The Dolphins go into Gillette Stadium and win 17-16. Mac Jones was okay. Tua actually surprised me a little bit, to be honest with you. I thought Tua was going to be just absolute garbage, but he was okay.
Yeah.
Devontae Parker played well. Waddle was one that my buddy, Will Bratter from Bigger and Bratter Sports,
right.
he ended up catching a touchdown. So he was the second in the dynamic duo between him and Devontae Smith, obviously with Alabama. But Tua did okay. Mac Jones didn't have – it was a good game. It was two young quarterbacks. They ran the ball a lot with Harris on the Miami side, on the New England side, which you should do with a young quarterback. But, Mac Jones also did throw it 39 times. So, but I don't know who I was more impressed with there with the quarterback play. I think I was more impressed with Mac Jones than I was Tua.
Yeah, I think both of these quarterbacks looked really good. Mac Jones obviously looked very sharp. He's definitely a rookie. Like you said, he had a decent game. He's definitely still a rookie. He had a good game. Definitely has some things to fix, but that's just going to come along with time. Miami definitely is starting to fit that offense towards Tua. He looked really good throwing short passes, passes. Where did the ugly passes come from? They came on the deep shots. They're just going to have to figure that out with Tua. I think he's a good quarterback. I have a lot of faith in him. I've always been a believer in Tua's game.
I am not.
You just gotta keep it short. Keep it simple for Tua. He's just not.
But you know what, buddy? And I'm glad you said that, because can you be successful with a quarterback that can only throw it between 20 and 10 yards?
You can only be so successful. I think you can be successful. Can you be as successful as you probably want to be? No. I don't think you can win a Super Bowl on a guy who's only going to throw you short passes.
Yeah. Well, it's just like you said, he's lucky, though, too, because he's got a guy like Devontae Parker, and now he's got a rookie like Jalen Waller.
He's got the athletes around him that, hey, those short and intermediate passes are going to work. That's not a recipe for a Super Bowl, though, in my eyes.
No, and you're right. You're right. And you know what? They need to run the ball more with Gaskin. They need to. They didn't run the ball enough. But then again, the Patriots held on to the ball for a long time compared to what they did. So, New England, they might not win the division this year. They probably won't. But I think Mac Jones he's going to have his bumps and bruises. But I think, by the end of the year, he just, he'll probably end up having a decent year by the end of it, I think. So,
yeah.
I don't know I think so. I think if I had to guess, I think he's going to have better numbers than Tua will.
Really?
But
I don't know. We'll see. I think
he might not have a better record, but he'll have better numbers, I think. Just because Tua, to me, I am just like, with Baker Mayfield. I'm just not a big fan of – I'm not a believer yet. And with Tua, I'm not a believer yet. Baker has made me believe a little bit more because they made the playoffs and stuff like that. But, and we'll get into his game. He did not play bad in that game either. But, they've got to prove it to me. And Tua, to me, just seems like he's left-handed, can't throw the ball long. It's just, I don't know. I just don't think he's going to be very successful.
So how many years are you giving it then until he's gone? Because a rookie
starter?
Huh?
As a starter or in the league?
We'll just say as a starter. We'll just say as a starter.
Oh, I think he'll play his whole rookie contract, and then after that, I think it's over. I think they'll realize it's over after that, and then he'll just jump around like, unfortunately, what Mariota's going to have to do until he finds the right spot, Yeah. All right, next game, we got the Broncos beating up on the Giants 27-13. Giants did not play well here. Teddy Bridgewater, his debut as a Bronco, he was great.
Yeah, he showed off some
which
skills.
is so scary. Melvin Gordon came out and had himself a game, averaging 9 yards a carry.
He had a good game,
the other guy there, Williams, he had a decent game. Jerry Jeudy had a good game until he went down. He's going to be out for a while, 6 to 8 weeks, they said. But the one thing that Teddy Bridgewater did do is he distributed 9 players had a catch in this game.
Yeah.
That to me shows how good a quarterback can be, is because he can distribute it, doesn't have a favorite. He does whoever's open, that's who he's throwing to. Doesn't mean he has faith in everybody.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I agree 100%. I think Teddy Bridgewater did have a great game. He showed off a lot of skills. Melvin Gordon having a big game. Definitely was excited to see that. And in all honesty, Daniel Jones didn't have a terrible game despite the loss. And definitely the Broncos defense. Broncos defense is really good. They held the Giants to under 13 points. And don't be fooled.
Von Miller, 2 sacks.
They have weapons. The Giants have weapons. This Broncos team, and I mean, like I said, in the AFC West, it's really tough. This Broncos team, not saying they will make the playoffs. I actually don't think that they will, but I wouldn't be surprised if they made this as the last wild card team if they went into the playoffs.
The Broncos, honestly, I think that the AFC West is going to produce at least 3 teams. I think 3 teams. I do think so. Unfortunately, I don't think one of them is going to be the Raiders, but I hope it is. But the Broncos might be one of those ones that surprises people. With Teddy Bridgewater coming in and being solid for them with the receivers they have, because remember, they still have Cortland Sutton who's coming back from injury. They've got Patrick, they've got Hamler, and they got Noah Fant, who's an up and coming tight end as well. The one thing on the Giants side is that 10 carries to Saquon Barkley is not enough. Agreed. And for him to only have, 1 catch? I mean, come on. The guy, you drafted him number 2 overall, work his ass. I know that he was injured, but come on. That's just my opinion. The Giants are probably going to be picking in the top 10 again next year, but the maturation of Daniel Jones is going to be, I think, going to be better this year. I really do.
I think this is last year. I think this is last year as a starter for the Giants. I think the Giants.
Really?
I think they're going to have a rough year, and I think Daniel Jones is going to have a rough year too. I at first
this will be his 3rd year.
Huh?
This will be his 3rd year, right?
Yes, this is his 3rd year. I think it's his last as a starter, though. I think he's going to have not a Josh Rosen type of way out, but I think it's going to be along those lines. They're going to draft his replacement, and then they're going to trade him.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see. Their coaching staff is so weird over there to the point of it was a weird hire because he was like the linebackers coach for the Patriots, and and COVID really hit them hard. A lot of players sat out, and now they're back, and some of them aren't. It just but the Giants are a team that they're going to upset some teams. It's going to happen. But overall, I think they will be at the bottom of the NFC East and will be picking in the top 10. And that's what – I don't know what quarterbacks are coming out this year, but imagine if there's a quarterback available. I just think they have so many other –
I'm not big on it. As of right now, 2 weeks into the college football season, I'm not big on any of the quarterback prospects.
No, they're saying the kid from Oklahoma, but ugh.
He's talented, but, man, he's had some pretty iffy throws these
Him and the kid from North Carolina, maybe. Maybe, well, they're saying JT Daniels too if he leaves early, but I don't think he will.
And they're also saying Carson Strong, quarterback from Nevada. I don't see it.
I don't see it either. But who knows? Who knows?
It's a rough class. It's a rough quarterback class this year.
Yeah. All right. Next game, which was a great game. Browns go into Arrowhead and give them all that they can. They actually were ahead at halftime, 22-10. But Mahomes worked his magic to end up getting the win at the end of it. On the Baker Mayfield side and the Cleveland Browns side, he had 321 with an interception. Kareem Hunt had a touchdown. Nick Chubb had 2. Jarvis Landry had a rushing touchdown. The one thing that made me smile was David Njoku, the guy that was supposedly replaced by Hooper, had 3 catches for 76 yards. It looks like he's ready to ball.
Yeah, he had a pretty good game.
They paid all that money to Hooper, and then this guy comes out once again, competition under your ass. What happens, But they had, no Odell Beckham here. Just to me, the Cleveland Browns are there, but they're not there, if you know what I'm saying. They're just not at the Chiefs level yet. But as the season goes along, the Browns are a contender. They are. I think they have a really good chance to win the division. The only problem with them is they can't beat in the regular season. They have a tough time beating Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, as far as the season goes, I think the Browns are going to be good. I definitely have them in the playoffs. How far they go, I think that's yet to be determined.
Their running game is scary. Their running game is going to – they could only run it what? They ran it – Chubb ran it 15 times. Kareem Hunt ran it 6, but they got 3 touchdowns out of those carries.
Right.
But they should be a running team,
Agreed.
even though they have a number 1 overall pick at quarterback. But because Chubb and Kareem Hunt are so good together, just run those horses until they can't run no more.
The Browns did look really good out of the gate. I mean, they just played very well in the beginning. Mahomes definitely did Patrick Mahomes things. He was throwing the ball all over the place, had a good game. Man, I don't even know what to say about that last throw by Baker Mayfield. I mean, they were great overall offensively. I think you definitely have to run the ball more, like you said, with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Late in the fourth quarter, everything just went wrong for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they got that lead, and then literally the very first play from scrimmage for the Chiefs, Mahomes throws a bomb to Tyreek Hill, and then they score a touchdown. The Browns end up having to punt that next drive, block punt. Chiefs score, they get the lead. Broncos actually do get on a drive late in that game. They have an opportunity at the 50-yard line. Baker Mayfield's getting sacked, and he throws it right to the defender. I like Baker Mayfield. I'm a big fan of him. Am I a big believer in Baker Mayfield? Not really sure yet, but I am a big fan of him. I really do like Baker Mayfield. I can't believe you made that throw. I mean, you're getting sacked. You gotta do what you gotta do to not get sacked in that situation. But man, God, that was such a bad throw. That's
the part of Baker Mayfield I don't like, my friend. That is the part of Baker Mayfield I don't like, is that he has that gunslinger mentality. But
as a Packers fan, Brett Favre is my favorite player ever.
But he reminds me a little bit of him.
Yeah, when I saw Favre throw that pick against this was whenever he was on the Vikings. It was against
New Orleans.
Tracy Porter. Whenever he threw it across his body to Tracy Porter, I was like, that kind of a bonehead throw is exactly like the kind of throw that Baker Mayfield made. I mean, you're falling to the ground. The coverage is obviously there. You mean to tell me you don't have enough arm strength to just launch it out of bounds? You know what I mean? I don't know.
My dad's a huge Vikings fan, and he looked at me when that play happened in the Saints game, the Vikings. He goes, that motherfucker will always be a Packer. And he walked away. Because he knew, because he's a Packer and he screwed us over. You know, he screwed the Vikings over.
I had to have been 10 years old whenever that happened.
I was like 23.
What's that?
That was like 23, I think.
So whenever that happened, obviously, I mean, Favre was my favorite player. The Packers were still my favorite team. But as a Packers fan, I was still kind of a Vikings fan. I was young.
Of course.
I was going for the Vikings so hard because I wanted Favre to win a championship.
No, I get it.
He threw that pick. I'm talking about that was my reaction. I was like, no. I mean, a 10-year-old
Packers fan was like, yep.
Yeah. Everyone else that knew, they were like,
we're used to it, baby.
God. And
I will say this. Going back to the game, Patrick Mahomes once again has shown that he's a favorite for the MVP. Again, Tyreek Hill 11 catches for 197. Travis Kelce doing what he does. It's crazy how they just keep on getting better and fucking better. Do you think they have a chance to beat in the NFL right now? Do you think they have a chance to go undefeated? I don't, but
it's 17 games. No.
But I'm just saying, they only lose one last year?
They lost
one to the Raiders. That's it.
No, that's not true. They lost to the Chargers as well in a game that Mahomes didn't play.
Oh, no. I'm saying the ones that mattered. They won that in the Super Bowl.
No, they lost 3 games over the entire course of the season.
Oh, maybe. I thought they only lost 2.
I think.
Who knows? They're still going to be really good. That's all it is. All right, last but not least, the Sunday night game, Chicago travels to L.A. and gets the shit kicked out of them by the Rams. Matthew Stafford, in my opinion, under a dark horse for the MVP if he continues to play like this.
Yeah.
Henderson played well. They traded for Sony Michel, and he only carried it one time.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. Like, it was late in the game, too. It was like, Sony Michel getting a carry, his first one. And I'm like, why didn't he trade for him if he only got that one carry?
But Stafford went for 320. He only had 16 completions. So that's a big difference from the way he usually plays. So I think McVay has sat him down and said, listen, this is how you're going to play. We ain't playing that gunslinger bullshit.
Yeah.
But he throws for 321, 3 touchdowns. Kupp has himself a good game. Jefferson does. Higbee does. Robert Woods, not very good, except he had a touchdown.
Yeah.
Deshaun Jackson, only 2 catches. On the defensive side, Aaron Donald, of course, gets a sack. Hollins got 2. Henderson played well as the running, got a touchdown,
Yep.
On the Bears side, Dalton it's going to be a tough year for him. He's not going to make it to week 10, I don't think. Montgomery had 100 yards and a touchdown. No one else nothing really else stood out there. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. Khalil Mack isn't even on the goddamn score sheet. How good has he been since we've traded him away? I think Max Crosby almost has the same amount of sacks he does since they've.
Zardarius Smith statistically is better than Khalil Mack.
Oh, of course. No, Khalil Mack was great with the Raiders. He went to the Bears, had 1 good year, and we got 3 first-round picks because of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, as far as the game goes overall, yeah, Matthew Stafford definitely showed off. He definitely shows the skills. The Rams' firepower this season will be absolutely lethal.
That first touchdown pass was sick.
I have them winning that division.
I know you do, and I'm not there yet because of the Stafford thing, but it's only because he's going to get himself in trouble. But if he continues to play like this, I mean, it's like, how the fuck can you not? You know, that's just me.
Dalton played fine. He played a decent game.
Yeah,
some snaps. It just wasn't enough, and I think that this is one of those games that you can't really put against Dalton because he didn't have a bad game. It just was not enough. You only put up 14 points, and actually, one of those touchdowns, Justin Fields ran in. So I mean, come on. It's just it is going to be tough for him for sure. I mean, it's going to be a tough year. I don't think he's going to make it to week 10. I don't think he's going to make it to week 8. He'll probably start 7 games.
I'm excited to see Justin Fields play because I'm a big fan of his because he was great for Georgia when he was there. They should have never let him go now looking back. Yeah. But then again, because to me, he's still Georgia. I don't care what anyone says.
And he's from Georgia too, so it's like
and so to me, it's just like hopefully he does play well. But the Rams put it out on notice that we're here to stay. We're here to play, and that division is going to come down to the end of the season, like literally last game. I'm thinking, and it's going to be between 3 teams. It's going to be between San Fran, Seattle, and the Rams. Yeah. What about Arizona?
Arizona's good. I don't know though.
That's that division. But one division can't have all 4 teams. It should, but it can't.
Well, they can't. Yeah, you can have 4 teams in the playoffs because you have. Okay, so you have the division winners.
So there's 3 wild cards. So you can. Yeah, you're right. That might be it for them. They might actually have. The problem is that the Cardinals fans are getting upset. It's like, how can you get upset? Your division is so stacked. If you come in 4th at 9-7 or 9-8, it's a bad season, I guess, but it's not really.
Yeah.
And it's just like I got a bad feeling that Arizona front offices are going to make some bad decisions because they're not making the playoffs. But it's like, dude, you're in one of the toughest divisions, and the AFC West and the NFC West are nasty. If you put
the Cardinals and the NFC East, they win the division by a mile.
Oh my God! Yeah,
that is a talented team.
Yeah,
but they're in a really tough division. And
they're in a division where
that's just the
team is probably going to have a winning record. You don't get that very often, but I think every team in that division is going to have a winning record. The only one that I think has a chance not to is the Cardinals. But if they continue to play like this, like they did against Tennessee, how can they not be? But those division games are going to be fun. I can't wait to watch those games. Those are crazy good.
Rams,
just like the AFC West games are going to be great.
Oh yeah.
Even if Bronco, even though if the Chiefs are that much better, each AFC West team is going to give them a hard time.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a good year, man. It's going to be a good year.
Well, that's the first show. We did good. We kept it under an hour and 20. That's about what we did last year too. We're getting better.
Hour 30 is like probably pushing it.
Yeah,
Hours to go, but hey, hour 20, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. But
it was a lot of fun. So
yeah, no, I can't wait to see you guys next week again. We're gonna do it again next week on Tuesday because the Monday Night Football game is Packers Lions, and we just don't want to rush it because they want to watch their team play between me and Mike here. So, like I said in the beginning, thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. Do us a huge favor while watching. Subscribe to Bigger and Brighter Sports. Subscribe to Mykel Sports. Thank you, Leonard Sally. We enjoy you watching us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
And like I said, we're on Twitter as well. I'm at Big Tuna BBS. He is at Mykel Sports, correct?
Yeah, that's my Twitter is just Mykel Sports.
Mykel Sports. Is there any other place they can find you, Mike?
Instagram at Mykel Sports _YouTube. And if any of y'all are on TikTok, MykelSports.YouTube. I'm not really active on there, but trying to put out more videos on there too if you're on that.
I am also on Instagram at Bigger and Brighter Sports. You can check me out there. I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. Hopefully next week the Packers can play better on Monday night. We'll see what happens there. Maybe the Raiders will do well against Pittsburgh, and we'll see what happens with all the other teams next week. It's been fun. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep, can't wait, guys. Thank you.